empowering you through the voice of truth with your host, Dr. Joel Hunter.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Joel Hunter, host of Power Talks, empowering you through the voice of truth. On today's program, John Murphy, the president and co-founder of Harvest Time International, and Stephanie Harris, the executive vice president of New Beginnings of Central Florida, are here. And I'm looking forward to learning from these servant-hearted leaders and outreach they have to so many. You guys are like people who should be wearing capes, but you're not. You know, it's I'm in admiration of both of your ministries. John, we've known each other for a long time. Yes, this guy, I want to tell you, is kind of like the godfather of community service of this area. I mean, he is, he's gotten so many, his organization has gotten so many awards. Nonprofit Business of the Year, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. And it's a ministry, but it involves working with various partners in business, in government, and so on and so forth. So we want to know your secret. And Stephanie's new; she's my new friend, but is in a service that's very much in demand right now. And so we want to learn about that. Well, let's learn about it right now.
Okay.
Okay. Tell us about New Beginnings. Tell us how it started, what the purpose is, and what you're doing.
Okay. New Beginnings of Central Florida formed about 11 years ago, 2007. And June and summer of 2007, a gentleman and his wife were having dinner, came out of a restaurant and saw a homeless man in Clermont, Florida, in Lake County. And there was no services available for this man. He was not working. He had lost everything. So that journey began, and our founder, Steve Smith, his wife, Linda Smith, and a few other friends got together and started the ministry.
Steve is ex-banker.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Ex-banker, ex-insurance guy, kind of jack of all trades, and now ex-founder of, and you're never really an ex-founder, founder of a nonprofit. Right. So who does that when they retire, right? That's not retirement, but anyway, so New Beginnings formed, and the whole purpose and mission really is still the same today. It's to empower those in need to live a responsible life. Yeah. It's to find those that are not working, those that have lost their home, and help them rehabilitate themselves back into working, back into society. I came on board last year. I was named executive director towards the end of last year. Steve and the board brought me on to kind of take over that executive director role. He could focus a little more on affordable housing. That's the number one void in helping the underserved really in our community is affordable housing. It's no longer just somebody standing on the side of the street with a sign. We're helping families now. We're helping individuals that working parents with kids, and they can't afford to live in our region.
Well, let me just put some stats to that. In our region, the greater Orlando metropolitan area, we are tied for second from the bottom for availability of affordable housing. For every 100 families that are looking for units, we only have 17 available.
Yeah.
So it's huge. Yeah. And what you're doing is huge.
Yeah, it's very much a void, and it's only grown exponentially since I've been here. I mean, I've been here almost 2 years now. Last year we started even a newer program because the homeless rehabilitation program is pretty much what's been around from the beginning. It's taking someone out of homelessness, helping them with life skills, with a mentor, and work therapy to get them back on their feet to work again. We kind of amped that up because we recognize there are people that are working and still homeless.
Yeah, that's right.
I talked to families in transition, which is with the school systems, and they told me, there was over 2,800 homeless children just between West Orange County and Lake County. I'm like, that's ridiculous. I mean, these are children, and these are just the reported numbers, so there's more. Right. So these are working parents, and we would get calls. So now we have a special program for those that are working and homeless to help them through the same transition. They have availability to the life skills classes. They have a case manager. We have a licensed mental health counselor now on staff. Wonderful. Those are all additions from last year. We've been running it about a year now. Very successful. But housing's still a shortage. So that's what we need is more housing options for the families.
Absolutely. John, you have, or I should call you Dr. Murphy. This guy's a PhD. He's the whole package.
Doctor.
I'll just call you let's call you Godfather. Godfather. But you have such a range of services that you offer to people. You've been in this area since what, 1994?
1994.
1994, came to this area. And so for, my math is terrible, 24 years, you have been serving this area. But you not just serving this area, you're international. I mean, Harvest Time International literally is in how many countries?
Over 92, I lost count.
No, okay, all right. Over 92 countries, and but give us some idea of the range. You're located in Seminole County, but give us some idea of the range of services that you offer folks.
Wow. Whew, that's a big one. Okay, yes, I like to say it, just try to put it in little groups and say, we're local, national, and international. We do disaster, hunger, and refugee relief. We also work locally with subsidy programs for families that are the working poor, as some have called it. I think we always come up with other terms that may fit. But then we work with supplying nonprofits and missionaries, churches, with product that they need to do their outreaches. We do the disaster recovery as well, responding to disasters locally, nationally, internationally.
You have a huge food program. You have, do you still have a dentist in your place?
Yes.
Okay. And medical services?
We have medical and dental.
Yeah.
Which we turned over to Orange Blossom Family Health.
Okay, great.
To run it because they're the experts.
Yeah.
We had the heart, they got the knowledge.
There you go. See, and which is exactly what you need to do when you're dealing with people's problems, to be able to refer them to someone who are specialized in that area.
Absolutely. Well, we brought DCF, Department of Children and Families, into the facility as well, where they were closing down some of their storefront access centers.
Right.
So it's fully staffed with DCF employees.
Good. Department of Children and Family, by the way. That's what DCF is.
Yeah,
this is, not everybody's acquainted with the alphabet.
They don't know all the acronyms?
They don't know all the acronyms.
I don't know them either. I get them messed up. It's like I may call it an ASB or something. I don't know what it is.
There's a lot of them.
But one of the things that I want to talk to you, John, about is your partnership with the public sector, with the government.
Yes, sir.
And I want to come back to you, Stephanie, and talk about how you guys operate as well. But one of the things I've seen you do so well is partner with county government, city of Sanford at times. How do you do that? I mean, you're a ministry, you're a 501c3, you have a congregation, you have a church. Usually churches run from entanglement. How do you maximize the complementary relationship?
Well, I look at government leaders or corporate leaders, community leaders, whoever. I look at them as ministers of God. Mm-hmm. They're there for a service to the people, and so when I look at their positions, I don't see the clout, the big names, or the whatever that goes with it, and I don't look at the money. Some people chase the money, and even create new ministries to get the money. I'm not after the money, but I'm after the service.
Yeah.
And so I go in and I spend valuable time to make relationships, and share my heart, and I never compromise the Lord Jesus Christ. They know who I am. They know what I stand for. When they say, "Would you pray?" but don't pray in the name of Jesus, I say, "I don't. If I can't pray in the name of Jesus, I don't pray." He's like, "Okay, so then you can do that." Okay. So anyway, we I found that looking at all the different components in our society, we've siloed a lot of those components, and I feel like part of my job and mission is to bring those together.
That's really good. That's a good word, because they're just people, aren't they?
They're just people.
Whether you're the President of the United States or you're the person who, with a mental illness on the side of the road,
Your people.
Your people. That's exactly right. So to not look at them as an office or a title, but to look at them as a person, that's key. Stephanie, tell us about New Beginnings. What all Do you work with the public sector as well as the private sector as well as the faith community? How do you do it?
Takes a village.
Okay.
Takes a village.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, we're all neighbors. I think what you just touched on, I mean, it's very true. I think there's a sense of humanity that's been broken down in some respects when you're serving an underserved community. Right. So many people want to put a title on that. And why? I mean, really, why?
Yeah.
It's because in reality, it very well could have been your neighbor.
Yeah.
It could be you.
Yeah.
It's, I was raised in a humble family home, low to moderate income, managed to still go to college, managed to still, follow my hopes and dreams at a loving, nurturing family with a very good spiritual background.
Yeah.
All we want to do is serve our neighbors in need. So it takes a village to do that. We have pretty close relationships with local city officials, county officials. You cannot operate and serve your community without doing that.
Yeah.
And you can't be all things to all people either.
Right.
You're talking about letting the experts do the expert work. It's the same with us.
Right.
That's probably been one of our biggest challenges is coming in over the last year and being able to identify, look, what do we do really, really well?
Yeah.
And let's focus on that. Let someone else that's doing that other sector well, let them do it.
Yeah.
The food pantry, for example.
I always like to look at it like to stay in your own lane.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't be trying to be on the other side of the road.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't be all things, and we will serve more and serve a better purpose if we do band together with others in the community to do that. Because otherwise, you're going to exhaust yourself, and you're not going to do it effectively or efficiently.
Right.
Where does your constituency come from? Where does your clientele come from?
It really can come from any social service agency, a lot of churches. We work with a lot of churches in the community because churches obviously want to serve, have a heart to serve. In some respects, a toxic charity can be formed. So we really try to step in to be that homeless ministry for a church. It can come from just other social sectors. We work with like in Mid-Florida Homeless Coalition. We work with United Way of Lake and Sumter County as well as Orlando.
Right.
We're a referral source for many. And some can just be word of mouth.
Yeah.
It's, I'm a part of chamber across our region, so different chamber meetings. People may come across
Chamber
someone.
of Commerce?
Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
Chamber of Commerce in Orlando, West Orange, Kissimmee, and
Gotcha.
Claremont. So you've got to make sure people know what you do and how you can serve. And we do not try to be all things to all people. So if somebody calls our helpline, we have a referral source as well. We're going to lean on the agency that can better serve them. We're not going to justify their case, their needs for our good.
Gotcha.
There's no good in that.
Yeah.
So we work with everyone, and the client really can come in off the street or they can be referred.
John, what about you? Where's your client? Where does your constituency come from? The people who are seeking help.
Well, we get visits by the whole gamut, but mostly our focus is subsidy. When we do local families for providing product for them, that's why the Lord spoke to me about don't do the handout thing, don't give them the box, but build a supermarket that's for them, for the low income and the struggling. And so, I went to the county with this and said, hey, everything was based on poverty line before. And if you want to do USDA, poverty line, everything's poverty line. So we're waiting for people to fall before we help them.
Yeah.
Why don't we try to do something before they fall?
Yeah.
So again, my big aim and agenda is prevention in all areas, many areas, homeless, everything. And so the county agreed that they would put their sanction on our 200% of poverty or below qualifies you to be able to shop in our center. And that becomes a big saving. USDA came in because we're handling food. They had to inspect.
Sure.
As they were inspecting, they said, your clients can use their food stamps here if you will change your process. Because our process was thank you for your donation. And they said, if you don't have a value on the product, we can't have an exchange.
Okay.
So if you would just take that, thank you for your donation, and put it on the product, then they can use food. So now people can take $1 food stamp and stretch it to $4.
Okay.
Where they go to a
Wonderful.
retail store, they got $1 food stamp.
That's great.
But now they can get 4 times as much. And also with their cash money,
Yeah.
they're doing the same thing. They're saving, $3 to $4
Yeah.
on $1. And so that becomes a subsidy and prevention program.
Yeah, that's
and
so
that's
important.
what that is.
Yeah.
So important. There's a growing gap in the need for housing and the availability of housing, and so every person we can help out just enough to stay in the housing they already have, because so many people are one car repair away from losing their home, or one medical emergency, or one. Guys, I got to choose between eating and medication, and so everything you can do to sustain people who are hanging in there, is just, the old stitch in time saves 9.
Yeah.
The whole rescue and recovery thing is never as effective as strengthening somebody who's really hanging in there. Stephanie, you just had, did you just build some affordable housing? Tell us about that project.
Yeah, so more than about 6 years ago, Steve worked with some partners in the community, identified some land, and built some 96-unit affordable housing, sliding scale workforce housing. It's called Woodwinds. It's in Claremont. It's on Grand Highway. Beautiful complex. It's a lot of naysayers out there. We're not happy about it coming to the neighborhood. Now I think everybody has realized it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's an apartment complex.
Yeah.
This is for those working in our community that can't afford $1,300 a month, because that is the average rent for our community for a one-bedroom unit. So you have to make over $52,000 a year to afford a $1,300 a month apartment in order not to be house broke.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's the median income.
Yeah.
So for a single person, making that, we have, dual income households that don't bring in that much money. So this was used with tax credits, HUD funded, it's a HUD property. Sliding scale, or those living on fixed income. But it's a beautiful thing. It's full as of this week. It should be full, and we are providing the wraparound services for that apartment complex, which is a beautiful thing.
Now, when you say wraparound services, I'm not sure everybody understands what that means.
Okay, so we're providing the social services assistance. So someone's not on food stamps and they need access, they need SNAP benefits, anything like that, they can come to our case managers. We have two case managers.
SNAP benefits is?
I don't know what the acronym, because here we are with acronyms again, but it's basically getting the food stamps assistance, food and support within the community. We also can refer them out if they need other medical attention, medical care. Because New Beginnings has a licensed mental health counselor on staff, we're working on finding other interns and people that can help us with the mental health needs, which we all know is becoming a rise.
I have a proposition for you.
Okay. I like propositions.
Harsheim owns 10 acres of undeveloped land across from our current facilities. Our dream was to have workplace housing, or whatever you want to call it, workforce housing there, and then have the surround services right across the street.
Yeah.
And that's why with DCF being there, you got your SNAP program application. They show up, they get their SNAP. They need medical, you got medical. They need dental, you got dental.
That's great.
They need counseling, they got counselors.
Yeah.
And then they have the place to go that they can get all their household needs, across-the-counter pharmacy, general merchandise, pet, automotive, you name it.
That's great.
A to Z, whatever you can find in a big retail supermarket, you'll find in that supermarket for, and we call it the Community Hope Center.
Okay.
And so we're looking for somebody who will come and purchase that land and build workplace housing.
Yeah, I think I've
So-
met with
Okay.
someone at Community Health Hope Centers, and I will see her tomorrow.
All right. So, and anybody out there, this is like our version of let's make a deal.
Let's make a deal.
We're always in the market for the benefit of other people.
Absolutely.
We just got to have partners, and there are a lot of people who say, if I could find the land, then we could find the financing.
When it's the funding is what really can be the stickler. I mean, hence it took more than 6 years for this to happen. A lot of work, and then you've got to look at restrictions that can be put on that. If you're going to use government funding and HUD funding, which is a beautiful thing, then you might not have the flexibility. Much like you talked about your market, that you're kind of in a box of sliding scale. Well, if that box is $14 or $14.50 an hour, what about the family that's making $15 an hour?
Right.
So now they don't qualify.
Right.
They're less.
Right.
they're less in need.
It's something to consider.
No, not really. So those are the things that you really have to step back and look at too. You can't make that deal because you think that's the right deal to make just to get it done.
Yeah.
Make sure that it's going to allow you to serve how you want to serve and what your calling is to serve.
Let's put a face on this because we're strategists, just because of the place and the platform that God's given us in the community, But we started out saying, but these are people. Can either of you tell me the story of, or just give us a glimpse of one of the people that you saw being helped through your organization that would give the listeners some idea of who these people are and what their life is like? Either of you?
Wow.
I know this is tough because you've known so many people that it's go, oh, okay, so I know one, but I got nothing on the screen right now. Right. But does anybody come to mind, or any family come to mind that you heard about who was going through a difficult time, who happened to be helped by your organizations?
I have a couple, actually. I would say what's been most shocking to me of recent is that stereotype of the family in need or the individual in need. Right now in our housing programs, we have an RN, we have someone with a bachelor's degree, and someone with a master's degree, actually 2 people with bachelor's degree, and somebody with a master's degree. So this is not, and these neighbors in need are not an uneducated, someone that just was born into it and stayed in it. Yes, we help, the cycle of poverty. We help those that have lived in poverty their entire life, and there are challenges to that chronic homeless. But it's a whole new face. Yeah. It really is. I mean, I have a single mom that, graduated from high school, was the first to graduate in her family from even high school. She has a son. She was separated from her son and got stuck in addiction. She made the responsible choice of let someone raise her son, to give her time to rehabilitate and get herself clean. She's been clean for over 19 months, I believe. Yeah. She's now a manager of a retail store, and she's going to school.
Good for
she's
her.
she should be getting her associates within the next year.
That's
so
fantastic.
Successful stories, we see it all the time.
That's great.
It's a
John,
great,
we just have a
beautiful
few
thing.
minutes left. Do you recall anybody?
Well, there's a number, actually, and so I could maybe just throw it in some categories without mentioning names or anything. But there's been several people come to us homeless and asking for a handout. Our process would be, if they're healthy, if not, we help them and say, God bless you, pray with you, and try to get you referred into some program. But otherwise, if they're healthy and strong, we say, okay, you need our help, we need your help. So could you come out and help us sort through some of these groceries or whatever? And as they work, we observe them.
Oh, great.
And if they're good workers, we hire them.
Oh,
That's
great.
great.
And then we've had different ones, like one guy in particular, he came in like that. We hired him. After a few days, we said, would you like to have a job? He says, you hire me? I said, absolutely. So we hired him. He didn't have any transportation, so we gave him a bicycle, became his transportation. He worked so well, I sent him over to the larger warehouse and taught him how to run forklift. He came back to the other place we were working him, and he was our forklift operator. And then he was a smoker, and we say, nobody smokes on campus here, so if you want to go to the corner, you can take a smoke break. And he would go to the corner, and a guy across the street would do the same thing on his corner, and then finally they'd begin to smoke together. And then when the guy across the street says to him one day, says, so what are you doing over here? And he says, well, I'm a warehouseman. I'm a forklift driver, certified. And he says, well, there's a job opening at our warehouse for a manager. Maybe you need to try for it. So he come back to us and said, you guys have been so good to me, I don't want to leave you, but I have an opportunity.
Wow, that's
we said,
great.
Would you get across the street now?
That is so great.
And he got the job, and he is a warehouse manager. And it was just a pleasure. We've had other people do the same thing.
Wow.
One lady came in.
And by the way, that guy's name was Joel Hunter. Thank you for the start. No, I'm kidding.
So glad that we could do it. So one lady came in, single parent, and she had never worked before. She had no had not finished her education, no college or anything. And she came in and needs some help. And so my wife says, well, let me give you a job and you can help me. And so she's working, and she worked with us about 3 months or so. And I think it was Christian Help or someone had a job fair at our place. And my wife goes and gets her and says, you need to go in there now. She says, oh, no, you need to go in there now. Don't worry about the pay. Do it on our time. She goes in and she gets hired.
That's
making $45,000 a year.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
We were paying at that time. We were paying her $850 an hour. And
I love these. You guys are just heroes in my eyes. I mean, you really. I thank you so much for coming on. We're out of time. I hate that, but I want to thank John and Stephanie for what you're doing in our community, for what you're doing in our world, and for the people you're loving and helping. And I want you to remember that these are discussions. They're just discussions among us, but we'd love to see you continue the discussions at home and go one step farther. Get involved, because when power talks, you are empowered through the voice of truth. See you next time.
You just watched Power Talks, a Good Life 45 original production that makes you part of our Hope Team here on Good Life 45, where hope happens.